I already posted in the WhatsApp.
Oh, link. Okay, we just wait for a few more minutes. Okay. So today we will cover chapter 3. Yeah. Any questions on chapter 1 or 2 at this moment? Before we move on to chapter 3. So far so good.
Oh yeah.
Can you all hear me clearly?
Can.
Can you hear me? Can I? Okay, thanks. Okay, let me share the slides first. Okay, so for this chapter 3. So is Pharaoh going to join us or not? Any reply from him?
Sure.
No reply.
Uh, yeah, we just continue.
Pardon, Noel, I can't hear you clearly.
Maybe can
We start, you mean?
prefer recording.
Okay. Yeah. We start,
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Notify me if Pharaoh is here.
Then it's
Notify me when Pharaoh is here. Yeah. Oh, Pharaoh is here already. Okay. So this chapter 3 is on the variable, constants, and calculations. Again, the concept you have learned in problem solving and programming. Okay, the same concept. So I'll have to distinguish between the variable, constants, and control. What are the difference between this variable, constant, and controls? Differentiate among different data types. All these terms actually happen in your first during your first semester in this BSCS 1014. And also apply naming conventions, incorporating standard and indicating the data type. Again, you have to apply the naming convention. What's the right naming conventions that you need to follow? And how to declare the variable and constant. Every time if you need to use any variable or constants, again, concept is like you have to declare it first, then only you can use it. But how to declare it later on, we will talk about it then. Okay, now select the appropriate scope for the variable. Okay, same thing as well. It's only that when you declare it, then when you can use it. Okay, where from line, which line to which line now you declare a certain variable, then where you can use it. Okay, well, either inside the block, inside a certain functions, inside one whole project, or inside a certain class, inside throughout the multiple forms. Okay, that's the scope for the variables that you declare. And then we have to convert the text input to numeric values if you want to do the calculations. And also if you need to display the output, you have to convert again. Okay, how to do that? Calculations, again, the concept is the same. The calculations for the variable and constant, those operators. Convert between the numeric data type using implicit, explicit conversions. Again, this one is something on it, like what you have learned previously, integer to double, double to integer, and so on, all this kind of casting. Okay. So round decimal value using decimal.round method. You have to round it out for those 1.55, have to round up to what's the value of it. Okay, by using this decimal.round method. Format value for output using toString method. This is the one that I mentioned just now. After you have done maybe some calculations on the numeric values, then you want to do some, you have to come up with some output on your form. It's a label maybe, what's any text box maybe. So you have to convert it to string. Okay. And also use try-catch blocks for error handling. Again, this one we have gone through it in programming in Sem 1. Display message boxes with error message. Okay, this error message will pop up. Okay, so how to make this error message pop up? We have the ready format, okay, in this VB.NET. Accumulate sum and generate counts. But always the one the info knowledge that we're going to cover today. So for the variable here, memory locations, the whole data that can be changed during project execution. So every time if you declare a variable, you will have a space, you will have an address in this memory. So it will provide a location where you can put in your variables, the values there. Okay. Someone put something inside chat. I know.
Oh, because just now.
Maybe
Only.
lag a bit.
Oh.
Maybe lag a bit. You can see the chapter slide number 4 now. We actually.
Now, yeah, 4.
Actually in chapter. Okay.
Okay.
And they. Okay. Thanks, Nova. Related identifiers that later on you want to play for this calculation. You want to get some input or show some output. Okay. The concept is still the same, like what you have learned in PCD, what you have learned in problem solving and programming, like programming course. So for example, here the customer's name. Okay, you may come up with one variable to collect this customer name or to do something else later on. And for the name constant is something that can hold the data that cannot be changed during project executions. So which means that now you set a fixed value for that particular constant, like constant for pi, the max, pi, 3.17 something. So you set it as a constant, and this value won't change during execution. The variable, it will change. This can be changed needed, or if whatsoever process done towards that. But name constant, no, it's fixed value. And also if, let's say, for example, here sales tax rate, you want to set a certain rate for this sales tax, then it will stay with that rate from the start until the end. Okay, that's the constant. So in VB, when you declare a variable or name constant, an area of memory is reserved. Definitely you will have the address for that. Okay, so a name is a sign called identifier. Okay, Still familiar with this identifier, all these terms, you ever deal with it? Follow rules and naming conventions. Okay, so these are rules and naming conventions. Like if you set a control label message, so how you can come up with the naming conventions for this label message. If you have a functions, how you can come up with the functions name. All these things you have to follow lah. Okay, so use declaration statement to establish variable and constant, assign name and data type. Not executable unless initialized on same line. Okay, you always need to declare that. Then you can do maybe initializations after that. Okay, or just declare it, or later on you do some process on that. Okay, as usual lah. So the data type. The data type normally here in this VB.NET, okay, you can see that some of it is actually you are familiar with it lah. So Boolean, byte, character, date, decimal, single, double, the difference between the single and double, single precisions, double precisions, still with the floating point, but different precisions. So for the single is with the 6 digit, for the double with definitely more precisions, more precise. This one is more for those engineer, those they need to have a long decimal places. Okay, short integer, long, all these integer. String, object, any type of data. Okay, so all these are the data types that you may deal with. Okay. Naming variables and constants, you must follow VB naming rules. For this VB naming rules, it's more or less like the Visual Studio. Because now you are using Visual Studio, VB.NET. So should follow naming conventions here. Meaningful name consisting of the letter, digits, and underscore. Is it sound familiar? In your programming last time, you also having the same naming conventions. Okay, must consisting of letter, digits, and underscore. Must begin with a letter or an underscore. You can also with a digit. And no space or periods, the dot. Okay? And other funny symbol cannot be accepted. Include class, the data type of variable. So for example here, normally we include the type, then the identifier. Okay, so that easily for you when you look at this identifier, once you can see the data type in front, okay, you know this is actually an integer. So this is actually to save your own time. Okay, if you come up with funny identifier later, you may need time to trace back. Okay, your identifier is declared using what type? Okay. So you can use the mixed case for variables and uppercase for constant. Normally for the constant, you have all uppercase. Okay. But again, include data type, include class. The data type here, we include for this case is the integer. And we cannot use the reserved words or keywords that VB has assigned a meaningful such as print, name, value. So you must find out more. What are those other reserved keywords, reserved words that being used in VB? Then you cannot use that words in as a to declare as a variable or constant.
Miss,
So basically, Farah.
the slide here I see is still page 4.
Oh really?
Yeah.
How about Kelvin and
Oh yeah.
Noel?
Yeah, same.
Still page 4. Okay. I'm in page 7 already. How come? But you all can hear me clearly. Can you all
Yeah.
hear me clearly?
Yes, can hear you lah. Yeah.
Maybe I stop presenting. I present again. I try this way.
Okay.
I stop sharing first. Okay, I present again. So weird, huh? What about now?
Still
Seven.
now it's 7 lah.
How about now? This one?
Still 7.
7.
Still 7. Okay. Stop sharing again. I'm actually testing by pressing to the next slide. So, but you all still see 7. So weird. Now it's 9.
Now
Okay.
it's 9.
Slide 9. How about now? How about now?
It's still 9.
Is it 8?
No.
No, still 9.
There's something wrong, huh? Okay, maybe you'll give me a few minutes. I just leave this meet and then I will come back again.
Okay.
We try to
Yeah.
see whether the same problems are happening or not. Okay, you just give me a few moments now. Now, class, can you see this? Slide number 7 now.
Yeah,
7.
7.
What about now? Is it slide number 8?
Still 7.
Is it slide number 8 now?
No.
Okay. Still 7.
Yeah.
Something wrong, huh? Maybe I need to restart my laptop already in this case. Slide number 10 now? Cannot see slide number 10. No. Still 7.
Yeah, just now still 7 lah.
But now?
Now Miss didn't present anything.
I didn't present anything. I stopped already on this now. Hey, so funny. First time, is it? First time like this, right?
Yeah, first time like this.
Okay.
11,
Sure.
Now
12.
it's still 10.
No,
10.
still 10.
Yeah.
10 ah. Eh, for me, oh. Okay, I think I better restart lah. Okay, I restart. I'll come back again.
Okay.
I'll see you all later. Huh?
OGS in the house, bitch. What can I say? I'm a bad man. Just 'cause I look fine, I ain't a bitch. bitch.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen, this is Alvin. Melvin Capital seek help from other hedge funds like Citadel and Point72, which they have already poured $2.8 billion to support the Melvin Capital. Okay, and to make that thing to lose money happened was because it started off as an ideal, right? And that it's a clash of how to say beliefs, and it's essentially a class struggle. If you ask me, the class struggles is between the geeks and the elites. So the geeks are hanging out on Reddit, and then your elites are like hedge fund managers who command a lot of capital around the world, and they are always being worshipped or even idolized to a certain level. And the geeks always don't get this limelight, right? And in fact, they don't like the limelight. Okay, and they are also, geeks tend to be gamers. Okay, and GameStop is about games, okay, retailing games. And for all some of the Wall Street bets forumers grew up with GameStop, right? And that means there's some sentimental value for some of them, right? And back in school, if I believe everybody will experience this before. They are popular group of people, they are not so popular group of people, and there's always this jealousy that's going on, this envy that's going on, right? You can't deny that, because we are all humans, we feel all these emotions in us. This should be GameStop, okay, which they are the profiteers, right? The profiteers, which means once they saw the initial group of people that's making money, right? You look at these insane numbers, okay, where it crossed $1 million, right? The psychological $1 million mark. And another person was posting this on Reddit. This position was like $5.8 million now, which does a lot of cinemas. So they will identify a lot of all those high short interest stocks, and then they try to squeeze all the short sellers. I think they were emboldened by the success in GameStop. That makes them feel like, hey, we can extend this to other stocks, right? To teach the hedge fund managers a lesson. Okay, and BlackBerry as well, all right, has been up 281% since the start of the year. Okay, so let me explain a bit more why I think this has been made possible, right? As I said, we have not seen this in the past before, and I thought that a retail investor, this blitzkrieg like kind of capability, okay, is unlike the past, right? Easier. The third thing is that you can actually level up the knowledge even more impactful that way. All right, so that invested, right? Okay, so I asked one of them, and they said that, oh yes, right. So then I asked, I'm very curious about the Okay, so it's getting more and more interesting. Those that people are talking about, people are just pushing up the stocks because they feel that there is something, for a cause, right? It's not really for investment purposes, for at least the initial group of people, right? The risk that they see, right? No right, no wrong.
Hey guys, it's Richard from The Plain Bagel. I wanted to make a quick, no-frills video to talk about GameStop. The stock that's skyrocketing, possibly because of memes. But I've gotten a lot of requests to talk about this in my comment section. And with the story developing so quickly, I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. So I apologize, I'm not as well prepared for this video as I normally am, but I think there's a few points I want to touch on, both just to explain, what's happening with GameStop, but also kind of touch on something that I think a lot of people are overlooking that shows just how crazy the situation really is. That, the narrative that we're hearing might not necessarily be what's actually happening. But for that, with GameStop specifically, there was a lot of short demand on this position. In fact, over 138% of the stock was being shorted. So what that
Hello, class. Can you hear me?
Hello. Yeah.
Okay. You see how slow this PC restart. And then somehow I'm still waiting the PowerPoint to open now. Okay. I hope now after I restart it, everything is fine. Huh? Too slow. Hold on, still waiting.
A 3v3 on the site, but the HP Hypoc is brutal here. This has to be some real big shots from Liquid to make the difference happen.
Yeah, I mean, they've got like a combined 80 HP. And actually, Echo's going to come straight forward, try and get it down. Pat, the waiting arms there, less than 10 seconds. Soulcat
8
finds...
first. Slide number 8 first to check which one is the valid or invalid identifier. For those invalid identifier, you give a reason why you said that's the invalid identifier while waiting. Don't know what happened, the PowerPoint is not opening. You all can hear me or not?
Yes.
Okay. please refer to your slide number 8. I believe you have your own slides there. You refer to your slides first.
Okay.
So I have to answer this.
Yeah.
Oh.
You answered it first, huh? Answer from A until H. Whether that's valid or invalid, huh? So class, can you see the slide now?
No.
Wait ah.
Yeah.
Can you see
Yeah.
the slide now? How about if I press to the next, if I go to the next slide? Now I'm with slide number 8. Can you see slide number 8?
No.
No.
Oh, still 7.
Yeah.
Miss,
You cannot
you
see. Yeah?
you using two monitor or only one monitor?
I'm only using one
Oh, okay.
monitor. Yeah. So now you can see slide number 8 or slide 7.
So still 7.
Class?
7.
Hi, still 7. Now still 7 again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now still 7.
Yeah.
Really still 7? Something wrong.
Maybe the Google Meet, I guess.
Now 9. Now it's 9. Yeah. Now it's
9 already.
Yeah.
But in this way, you can see 9. You can see 11.
No. Yeah. Now.
How
now
about
11.
now? Now
Wait.
11. Something wrong with the PowerPoint or in this case. Then we have to do it manually. Something wrong with the PowerPoint or something. Seems like. Okay. Okay. Maybe we just do it in this way lah. Oh? at this moment.
Okay.
Then later only I was what happened? What's wrong? Must be something wrong. Restart already, but still. See? Ew. Something wrong with my PowerPoint. So slow, even just now not responding when I open up this slide. So like this, okay, huh? You can see the different slides now, huh?
Yeah.
One side up,
Okay.
down, up, down. Okay, so we will use this way first. Don't waste our time to check out now. Okay, so have you gone through with some questions here in slide number 8?
Done already.
Done already? Okay. So we go through one by one. Okay. So for part A, is this a valid identifier? A.
Valid.
Valid.
Valid, huh? All valid, huh? Okay. How about B?
Invalid.
Invalid.
How about B? Why?
But the
Got the
hashtag
symbol.
in the beginning.
Oh, got the hashtag. Okay. You shouldn't have this, huh? You shouldn't have this. Okay. So how about the number C? Number sole integer.
Invalid.
Is it
Invalid.
valid? C?
Invalid.
Invalid. What's the problem with the identifier?
Got space.
White space.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So how about D?
Invalid.
Invalid.
Invalid. Why?
Got the dollar sign.
Okay. Good. How about E?
Invalid.
Sub.
Invalid.
Why?
It's a reserve word.
Reserved word. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a keyword. It's a reserved word. Okay. How about F?
Valid.
Valid.
Valid. Good. How about G?
Invalid.
Invalid.
Invalid. Okay, good. Cannot start with digit. How about H? The last one. Decimal
Valid.
maximum type.
Valid.
Okay, very good. So no problem for you to follow the rules and all those naming conventions at this moment lah. So for the constant, user assign name, data type, and value. You have to use const, constant keywords to declare. So you have to start with this keyword and followed by your valid identifier as what's the type? String. Then here make sure don't forget your identifier you should have st. Okay, to make yourself easier to know what's the data type for this. In this case, is constant. Okay, then is a very good practice to put prefix again. Okay, always have that. So we have this intrinsic constants here, which is system-defined constants within Visual Studio. So which means that those constants that already is a default, is ready, is built in this Visual Studio. You can straight away use it. Those so-called intrinsic constants. So assigning value to the constants, you have to declare the data type of numeric constants by appending a type declarations character. So in this case, normally we put this type character, type declarations character. Okay, so that you know this is actually decimal. Oh, what happened? You see, you can see my PowerPoint and something like some problem already in my PowerPoint. Okay, so this type declarations character. Okay, if that's a double, you put an R. If that's an integer, put an I. If it's a long, put an L. If it's a short, put an S, and so on. Okay. If a type declarations character is not appended, any whole number is assumed to be integer. So which means that, like this case, the long, short, and integer, if you don't put this I or L or S, okay, by default, it is assuming that no matter what's the number is that, is the whole number is that will be integer. Okay, and no matter any values with the fractional value, it will be assumed as double. It won't be assumed as decimal or single. Okay, so to make it specifically for that particular type, you can just put a type declarations character at the back of the values that you have. So when I look at this, okay, I know it's a decimal. When I look at this, it's a double. If you don't put this, okay, so it will be assumed this is a double as well. This is okay. So if you want to have precise one, just put it. Declaring the variables inside a procedure using a dim statement. Okay, dimensions. Declare outside the procedures using public, friend, or private statement. So we always declare the variables, right? And we declare several variables with one statement. And also declare several variables in one statement using the programming that you have learned previously. So use the statement. So this is actually built in your VB.NET, which means that when you type like a text box, txt name dot something, you have an ext, it will give you some other choices. Okay, it will help you, or it will give you save your time to do a lot of typing . Okay, it will give a list of choices for you so that you can select from choices or options listed. Okay, declaration statement example here, we have this dimensions, dim, str customer name as string. We have private, integer total sold as integer, dim again, private again. So depends on where you want to use that particular variable. Okay, if you want to use it just a local, you can just put the dim. And then if you just want to use it as in that particular project, you can just use a private, something like that. Okay, so this will actually decide the scope of your variable or identifiers that you have declared. Okay. So now write as declarations using dim statement for the following situations. You just need to declare it using dim statement. Questions already asked you to use the dim dimension statement to declare all this. Okay. So you need to come up with the proper data type for all these variables. Okay. For the first one, number of hours. This. Anyone? Class?
Double.
Questions already mentioned, give you whole decimal value. Okay.
Decimal.
So it can be dim, decimal, hour, S, decimal, something like that. Huh? So based on the hint given or example given, you have to come up with the proper data type there lah. Okay. Questions already mentioned is a whole or decimal value. Give a decimal type for it. Okay. How about a string name? A string name, employee name. Already give data type. So you can come up with dim, str, name, a string. Then you can come out with something like dim, string, name, as string, something like this. Okay. Department number. How about department number? Not used in calculations. So you can declare it as what type? You can declare it as string type is okay. So dim, department name. Someone put some message in the chat.
It's answer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, acceptable. Dim, string, department number, and string. Good. So this is how you can come up with the proper declarations. How about 2A? Variable for inventory control to store the integer quantity. Integer quantity, also already mentioned, integer quantity can be dim, int, quantity as integer. Okay. Okay, you all got it, huh? Always with dim. Just ask you to use dim. So int, quantity as integer. Oops. Okay, something like this, huh? Okay. So same goes to these descriptions of item, part number, and also the cost. So you have to come out with the proper data type. For this case should be a string. For this case can be string or integer, up to you. For this case, for the cost, normally we use decimal. Okay. For the cost, for the currency. Okay. So we move on. Scope and lifetime of variables. This is the one that I mentioned. Once you declare it way, you can use it way. When you can use it, where you can use it. Okay. So visibility of a variable is its scope. The scope. Okay. Indicates where the declared variables can be used in application scope. It's actually used in the entire project. One whole project can use that. Module level, it is only accessible from all procedures. Oops. All procedures of a form. Module level. Where it is local, within the procedures in which it is declared. When it is declared, then close. Cannot use already. Okay. Once it is start to declare already, you can use it. After that, no more. Block is block level as well within that particular block, which means that within that particular curly braces. Okay, normally inside the procedures, or you have so many different like a for loop, if else, you can declare block level variables. It's only being used inside particular block. So lifetime of a variable is the period of time the variable exists. So for this case, public class form1. So you have a public, you have a string message, declare as a public namespace scope. One whole project. One whole project, don't forget, one whole project, you can have more than one form. So multiple forms can use this string message. Okay. Private integer value as an integer, multi-scope, you can use it in this particular form. Okay. In this particular form. When you put it inside a certain functions, okay, a certain functions here, okay, I can use this integer total in these functions until you close it and it. That's a local scope. The block scope certain identifiers. Okay, when you declare that way, that will be what's the different when you put in different keywords for the declarations. Okay. When you can use it. Okay. Now another exercise here. Or constant in calculate procedures or functions and the summary functions as well. So you can declare it as. So these are calculate and summary event procedures.
Oh, very lag, I cannot hear.
Should be under one form lah. Anyone? Class?
Miss Berry like
Can you
cannot
hear me?
hear.
Class?
Can, but maybe.
Voice got stuck.
Can you all hear me clearly, class? Okay,
Yeah.
put your answer of exercise 3.3, questions 1 in the chat
Okay.
box. Okay. Mm. we will discuss the answer later on. No answer here, so discuss it. Have you all done with it already? Class, can you hear me? Can you hear? Okay.
Can.
So you have done with the. Okay, thanks. So you have done with all 3 questions already? Oh, okay. For the first questions, this total of peril. The total of peril that will be needed in calculate event procedures and also in summary event procedures. It is needed inside more than one functions here. Okay, so which means that no matter how many functions here you have inside this form, this can be used. So you must put it as private. Okay, you must put this as private. Noel? Yeah. So for the second one, the sales tax rate cannot be changed during project. Cannot be changed is the keywords already. So your answer here constant. Constant with the tax rate as decimal. Okay. So because normally for the constant now we will follow by equals to a certain rate. In this case, a certain rate. You just continue with your constants. This one I will just put inside chat. I will take Well's answer. Equals to something. Equals to a certain rate. Okay. Because for the constant, normally we give a value there. Value there. Okay. So for the number 3, the number of participants that are being counted in the calculate event procedures but not displayed until the summary events procedures. And for this case, you can just simply use a dim. Very good. So yeah, your answer just for the number 1 should be private lah. Number 2 and number 3, okay. So Farrell and Kelvin, I hope you got the correct answer as well lah.
Okay.
I still not sure when to use private, when to use dim.
The dim is actually when you use it for that particular functions normally lah. But for private, you have, because after this you're going to learn different functions. You have a lot of functions inside one form. Then you need to access a certain value or certain variable in so many functions, then you have to use private. Okay, you have to use private so that this can be accessed in so many different functions in a form. In a form.
Okay.
Okay, you never mind. Later on, when you play around with all these functions, multiple functions or procedures, you will see that lah. Okay, you will see that more. You'll see that clearer. Oh? Okay. Calculations. For the calculations can be performed with variable constants properties of certain objects and numeric literals. We not use any strings in calculations. So this is the one, be careful. We do not use any strings in calculations. Value from the text property of text boxes are strings, even if they contain numeric data. Okay? Even if they contain numeric data, all those are strings. That's why you need to convert it. Okay? So must be converted to a numeric data type before performing a calculation. So when you create a form, you ask for the user to key in maybe 2 numbers into the 2 text boxes that you have created in the form. Then these numbers are the numbers keyed in by the user in the text box is actually string. Integer, let's say, you have to convert it to numeric data. Convert it first, then only you can do the calculations. So that's why the parse method coming in. This parse method to convert the text property to its numeric forms before it's used in calculations. So you must convert it first. Then only you can do the calculations. Okay. As is already mentioned in this case, do not use string in calculations. But whatever we key in inside the text box, consider as string. Okay, so you must convert it using the parse method here. So each numeric data type class has a parse method, and this parse method returns a value that can be used in calculations. See what you want to parse. Okay, so parse method fails if the user enter non-numeric data. Again, it still fails if you key in non-numeric data or leave it blank. If you leave it blank, how they pass it, they cannot convert it. Okay, if you put in a character inside the integer, which you're going to pass as an integer later on, it won't work for you as well. Okay. So value assigned to string variables or text properties must be string. Okay, it still must be string. And you can convert any numeric data type to string using the toString method. So after you have done some calculations, you convert into integer, let's say, and then you do the number 1 plus number 2, you get a certain total. This total you declare as integer. After you have done the calculations, this total is integer. So if you need to show this output for the total, you have to convert it to string again. Use the string method. A bit troublesome, but that's the rules for this maybe .NET. You have to convert first from the string to the calculations as an integer or double or other type. Then if you want to return or if you want to show the output to the user again in any form, in a text box or label, make sure you change it, you convert it back to the string type. Okay. So later on, you're going to play with this as well. Conversions method here, integer.parse, convert it to integer. Decimal.parse, convert it to decimal. To string, you convert it to string. Okay, you have to remember this part, this method. So for the first method, convert string to numeric data. So here is what user key in later on. Will be key in inside this text box called txt quantity. So whatever text appears inside this text box, you pass it to become integer type and then store in integer quantity in this case for the later calculations. Okay. Otherwise, whatever inside this is actually a string. If you don't pass it, you can do the calculations. Okay, and this is an example to pass in the decimal using the decimal.pass method. Again, getting the text box text.text, convert it to decimal, and store inside decimal price. Okay. Same goes to this one. Okay, string digits, convert it into integer, store inside integer whole number. And for this part, to string method, you start to convert the numeric data type string already. So which means that what initially you have a numeric type, either integer or decimal, double, all this, you convert it back to string. Okay, so like this case, this is a decimal type. You need to display it as a text under this label result. Make sure convert it to string first. Convert it to string. Convert it to string first. Okay, otherwise error. So remember that if next time if you run any functions or do some calculations, you say how come cannot run? How come got error? Well, I know it's an integer, but you forgot to pass it. Don't forget to pass it. Convert it. So for the arithmetic operations here, usual plus minus, multiply, divisions, divide. Integer divisions is something new to you. Modulus, this one it should be modulus. Okay. Modulus, remainder of the divisions. Exponential. Okay, exponential is power 2, like 2 power 3, you will get 8. 2 power 4, you will get 16, something like that. This exponential. But this integer divisions is actually, it will throw away those decimal places. It will only get the integer. And you do the integer divisions. Okay, like 5 over 2, 5 integer divisions, you use this symbol, you use this operator, 5 over 2. Will give you, suppose you will get 2.5. It will only give you 2. Okay, is that the digits, the value after the decimal places, it will just throw away. That's integer divisions, a bit different. So hierarchy of operations here, and order of precedence. Again, you have to follow the order of precedence. Okay. So in arithmetic expressions from highest to lowest, which one will do first? Again, this you apply it in your programming in your semester 1. Okay. Any operations inside parentheses will be done first. Then it will go for the exponential. Multiplications and divisions, followed by integer divisions, modulus, then last only additions and subtractions. Okay, so which one, if you have one whole statement, which operator you need to do first? So you have to follow this precedence. Okay, and this order of precedence is actually applied to any other calculations. Same thing, concept is still the same. Okay. You all can hear me clearly, class? Can you all hear me clearly? Okay. Okay, good. Evaluations on expressions here. all operations within parentheses. That's your bracket. That's your bracket. Parenthesis is the bracket. So like maths, if you do the maths calculations, you always go for something inside the bracket. So in terms of programming calculations, we call it as parentheses. Okay. So multiple operations within the parentheses are performed first according to the rules of precedence. So you always remember this one lah. Okay. This is still the one that you need to remember. If you think that you might have problems to do the right calculations. All exponentials, multiple exponential operations are performed from left to right. If you have a whole statement about exponentiations, it will perform from left to the right lah. Okay, always start on the left to the right. Multiplications and divisions happen on the same segment, again, from left to right. Okay. Integer divisions, when you have multiple operations, also. When you have multiple, you have one segment, all with integer divisions as well. Again, perform it from left to right. Okay. No matter what operator it is now, when it is about the same level of precedence, always from left to the right. Oh. Modulus operations as well, multiple operations are performed from left to right. Always. All additions and subtractions also, if you have one statement, you are only using plus minus, long statement on plus minus, also from left to the right. Okay. The order of precedence. So when you start to evaluate the expressions, always for the same level, always from left to right. Remember that, huh? This is also like your math calculation, same thing. So when you have this kind of statement, okay, okay, like this case, 3 plus 4 times 2. Which one having a higher order of precedence? Multiply first, then plus. Okay. So this is how you can see from a statement. One, you need to calculate first. Okay. It's not every time when it is different level already. Here plus and here multiply is different level, different order of the precedence already. You have to do which one first. Okay. When you have a bracket, which one you have to do first? Okay. When I have a bracket with parentheses here, I need to plus first, then only I times 2. Okay. When I have the same level, always from left to the right. This is to answer these 2 slides. Okay, to answer these 2 slides from this example. Okay. So questions may come out asking you to do some calculations. Can you do a quick calculations for all these 4 questions now? Where x equals to 2, y equals to 4, z equals to 3, just a simple calculations, a very quick one. Okay, which one go first? This one should go first, then only you plus with this. This one will go first, then only you plus 1. This one will go first, then only plus this one. Okay. This one go for the bracket first, then exponential, then only multiply. Based on this order of precisions again. So you do a quick calculation, see? Just give me the answer later on. Okay, you all try. You all can still hear me clearly, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So do some calculations. So maybe I will put in here 2 plus y is what? 4 exponential 2. Two z is 3 times 2. So easier for you to see once the value is there. But which one to evaluate first? Make sure you check the order. X is 2. 2 plus z is 3. So I think question 4 you need to do some calculation lah. Okay, you got the answer already?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so for the first one is what's the value you got?
Oh, 18.
18.
Good. Second one,
5.
5 is it?
Oh, yeah.
You got it, 5?
Mhm. 204.
Is it 22?
Oh yeah, 22.
How about this one? Y 4 exponential should be 2, 0. I also calculate. Oh, I forgot times 2 here, sorry. Times 2 at the back. Okay. 2048. You got the same thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so this kind of questions also may come out in the exam, so you need to know how to which one to calculate first, which one to evaluate first. Okay, so we move on. So now perform calculations in assignment statement. What appears on right side, assignment operator is assigned to item on the right side. Normally it's like that. Now whatever on your right side, you assign it to the left side. Okay. And these assignment operators are shorter versions where you have gone through previously as well. Assignment operator plus equals to this. For this example, is like decimal total cells equals to decimal total cells plus decimal cells. Oh, right? Oh, yeah, you can see something here. Okay, so you can write it in this shortcut way lah, shorter way, accumulate way. Okay. Oh, write 2 statements to accomplish the following tasks using 2 methods. One is standard, one is long versions. One is assignment operator. So the standard way, the long versions way, if you need to add 5 to integer count, normally you will have integer count equals to integer count plus 5. Okay. Assignment operators the shorter way, that would be integer count plus equals 5. Okay. So for this case, you just need to apply. This is the shorter way, assignment operator. This is the long way, like normal way, standard way. Okay. So these questions. So not much on this. This one is only for your revisions. You can try it out by your own. Okay. Any questions? Any problems to do this part?
No.
No problem, huh? Yes? No questions, huh?
No.
Okay, move on. Yeah, thanks. Okay, options explicit and options strict. For these options explicit, this forces variables to be declared before using. You must declare it. Okay. Option strict, make VB a strongly typed language like C++, Java, and C#. Does not allow implicit conversions from wider data type to a narrower one or between string and numeric data type. So always make sure the best practice to always turn on either in code or in project properties dialog box. So otherwise, you might get funny or minor error, especially during some calculations. You might not get the precise answer or result if you turn it off. Okay, and you might not find out where is the error. Sometimes you haven't declared a certain variable. If you turn it off, if you don't declare any variable, you just use it, this can run. But when the problems happen, it is troublesome for you to trace where's the problem. Okay, so always, if you are now open up already with your Visual Studio, okay, you can go to your My Project under the Solutions Explorer there. You select the compile from the left menu. From there, you can see the both option strict and options explicit. Turn it on. Otherwise, you will get those funny or minor errors. Okay, so you can check now your own Visual Studio, you open up your VB, .NET Framework, open up, and then find out where you can find that. Once and open up the My Project, make sure you try it so that you know where to find it, where to get it. Did you all insert the VB.NET now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you can see your own My Project under the Solutions Explorer. The part, the place that you change your startup from. Now under compile, it's not under applications. Your startup form, you change your startup form under applications. But now you go to the next, what we call that now? Next should be the compile. Okay. One step right after the applications, you can see options explicit, options strict. Make sure both on. Okay. Sometimes it is off by default, so make sure you have to check every time that's on. Okay, you got it?
Oh, yeah.
Under compile, yeah, under compile options, not under applications options, on it. So make sure next time if you do your project, always make sure that is both are on. Otherwise, even though seems like no problems that forms, but end up come up with some minor error and your answer is not that precise, then you know already you forgot to turn on. Okay, turn on these two. Okay, converting between the numeric data type. By default, implicit conversions. It will convert value from narrower data type to wider data type when no danger of losing precision exists. So when you have small number in integer type, okay, convert it to the double, no problem. Definitely you won't lose any precisions there, or you won't lose anything from the whole number to something .00, you have decimal places, it's okay. Okay, that's the automatic conversions. We call it as implicit. Okay, always for the implicit, narrower to wider type. Okay, so the value here, integer small number, is converted and stored in double big number. Definitely you won't get any loss precisions in this case. But remember that by default, conversions is narrow to wider. Okay, if you don't turn it off, okay, wider to narrow later happens, I don't know, if you don't turn on the options explicit and option strict. Yeah. Okay. So implicit automatic conversions here. Okay, when you have something equals to something, two different data types. So you can this is actually automatic converted for you from byte, can be byte to all this, can be short type to all this, integer to all this, long to this, decimal to this, single to double, but double does not convert implicitly to any other type. Okay, by automatically lah. Double does not convert implicitly. Yeah. Okay, so you can see from this figure here, what type is actually converted to what type can be done automatically in your VB later on, and actually in your Visual Studio previously also automatically implicit conversions. But if you want to do explicit conversions, okay, you don't want to follow this narrow wider type, you don't want to follow this by default. You can do a casting. Okay, you can cast it to what type by using this method. Okay, so use this method of convert class to convert between the data types. Then this convert class has method that begin with 2 for each of the data type. So to decimal, to single, you want to make it to double, to integer 16, that's short data type. Integer 32 is the integer, long is 64. Okay, so for example here, you can convert the single number, okay, convert to decimal single number. In this case, you do a casting manually. Okay, so if you don't put this straight away like the case just now, you have something like this, it will convert directly from the narrow type to the wider type, narrow to wider. But when you have this, you can adjust it from which one to which one. Okay, so now the single number is being converted to decimal, stored inside the decimal number. Okay, a double value is being converted to an integer and stored inside an integer variable or identifier. Okay, so you can do this type of casting, which is manual, consider manually casting. You cast it. If you don't come out with this method, it will follow what is actually built in by default. Okay. So performing calculations with unlike data type. So VB performs the calculations using the wider data type. So when you have one integer, one decimal, it will go for the wider data type, which is produce a decimal result. Again, if you don't want to have this kind of automatically conversions itself by default, you can form a class. Okay, casting up, and converting the result to a different data type. If you want to convert the result into different data type, one integer after divide by decimal, if you don't put this, it will give you decimal result. But if you put this, it will give you integer result. Okay. So VB does not convert to a different data type until it is necessary. So you all be careful when you do your calculations. At the end for the result, what's the type that you want? Because it will give you different result. Even though it's maybe the decimal places, you have different values, or you may not have any decimal places. Okay? Sometimes for some of the cases, some of the scenario, those decimal places, digits in the decimal places is important as well. Okay? Rounding number. So now decimal round method. Again, normal rounding. Okay, like when you have 1.2, you want to round, become 1. In this case, 1.455D with the 2 decimal places, as usual, it will give you 1.46. But one thing is a bit different based on what you have gone through previously. This decimal round convert method use technique called rounding towards even number. So what is that means is actually when you have num 1.5 or 2.5 or 3.5, 0.5, num at the middle, half of it. So it will round towards even number. Okay, like this case. When it is 1.5, number of decimal positions is 0, which means that you're going to, you don't have any decimal places there. You want to round using decimal round method. It will go for the even. Normally, if that's the 2.5, if you want to round, it's become 3, right? For this case, decimal round, again, this is what I mentioned, something different that with what you have dealt with previously. We go for the even number. So 2.5, if you round it, it becomes 3. 3 is the odd number. So it will up to the even number. It will give you the result. That's why you have a 2 here. Okay.
If the decimal is 3.0,
If what?
if the decimal 3.0
3.0.
is the
Because
original.
3.0 is not half.
So convert to 4 or 2.
3.0 is not 3.5. So if you convert it, it will still become, if you use the method decimal round in this case, it will still become 3.0. 3. It will still give you 3.
Oh.
It will only take effect when it is half. When you deal with half.
Oh, okay.
5. Okay. It will only choose even, and when you deal with 5 at the back, and also depends on how many numbers of positions you want. Okay. Like this case, you say 1.455. 2, you want to make it to 2 decimal places, round out to 2 decimal places. 1.455. 5 definitely can round out to become 1.46. But how about this 1.445? But then you are dealing with 5 here. Since you need to have 2 decimal places, suppose if normal round up, it is become 1.45, right? But 1.45 is considered odd. It will go for even number, which is 1.44. It will go for the rounding towards even. So you need to be careful lah. You need to be careful when you do your manual calculations, manual answer, or you need to answer it manually, yeah, or answer on paper. Okay, this type of rounding, make sure you be careful. Okay, normally because it's a bit different from your normal math. Okay, normally when you come out with 2 decimal places here, you want to round. This is 5 or more than 5. You're going to round it out, become 1.45. Am I right? But remember that rounding towards even, 1.45 is not even. 1.44 is even. So your result, it will show 1.44. Oh, this is the part I want you to be more careful when deal with type of questions. Okay, no matter in you deal with what later on exam. Okay, so this also count as we call it also as around half to even, or there's another term they call it as a banker's rounding lah. Bank rounding on half to even. Huh? Aware of this part, huh? So to display numeric data in a label or text box, you have to first convert value to string. As what I mentioned just now, if you need to display out or output a certain integer, a label or a text box, that's still integer type. You cannot display that. You must convert it to a string first. Use the string method. Okay. So now you want to convert this integer number to string first, and then be displayed in this text box. txt display.text. You want to display this value, even though value in integer. But from when you deal with the text box.text, label.text, those in string. So format the data using formatting codes. You have to specify use of $sign, %sign, and commas. All this format can be set lah. Specify number of digits that appears to right decimal point. How many decimal points that you want? Okay, all this can be set. So to use the format specifier codes here, code, it will show the currency lah. String formatted with $sign, comma separating each group of 3 digits and 2 digits to the right of the decimal. You should have something like this lah. Okay. Each group of 3 digits and something like this lah. Okay, so it will give you a currency. So if you want to change the currency from dollar to other sign, because different country you have different currencies that you can use. So you can change all this later on, or you can just simply put a combine. You can just simply combine or join the string. Okay. Okay, for the end code is a number string formatted with comma separating each group of 3 digits and 2 digits to the right of decimal point. So when you are putting this or putting this, the format is there already lah. Okay, so can specify number of decimal point positions, zero digit. Okay, this one is the the figure for this format specifier codes. You have C, F, N, D, P. So later on, you can play around with to string with C inside, F inside, N inside, D inside, P inside to see what's the difference lah. Okay, to see what's the difference between all this here. Okay, so you just remember C is for the currency lah. For the fixed point, okay, by default, how many decimal places a day is already being set by default. Okay, if it is enough for you, you just use it. If you think that you need to do some adjustment, you adjust the digits. Okay. The number again by default, you have a comma. By default, you have 2 decimal places, digits. D or D is the digits, and this one is only for the integer. P is a percent. Always multiply the value by 100 and add a space and a percent symbol. It will give you percent symbol and round it to the 2 decimal places. So later on, you play around with all this code. Okay. So when you have a C, you have something like this: N0, P6, P3. So what's the different outputs that you have? Okay, so to do that, your labeled text, the labeled text that you want to show the output, make sure you put to string with continue. What's the code inside? Okay, code with digit. For the code one,
for the currency, only
why?
use the dollar sign. Don't have
This you can further change the dollar sign to other any other country's currency sign that they have. Okay, it can be changed also. But by default, it will follow how you set your computer, your laptop initially, setting based on what. Using a US one, by default, it will give you plus sign. Okay, this one can be set. This one can be set. Can further be set. So up to how many digits you want to show, you also can change. You can set it also up to 6 or up to 3. All these can be set. Bit specifier code format bit time value. Using the format codes and toString method, and bit codes here are case sensitive. Be careful. Sensitive. So if you want to have short date, long date, short time, long time, the code that you need to put in all this. Okay. Again, make sure don't forget to string. So now I want it to have a short date format. It will show something like this, for example, here, show that format, okay, in this way. If you want to have a long date, you put the uppercase D here. That's why it's case sensitive. Lowercase uppercase D. Uppercase D will give you something like this. It will be displayed later on in this label as a text. Okay. So case sensitive, if you think that you need short, put the small letter D. If you think you need a long, put the uppercase D, and so on. Okay. Okay, here more example for this date specifier code. You have some more F, lowercase, uppercase F, lowercase G, uppercase G, M or M. So in this case, later on, again, you can just simply put any example to apply into any label that you have, play around with the code and see what's the difference. Okay, there's too many formats. Sometimes you may forget to apply all these type of format. Okay, handling acceptance. Professor, any questions?
No.
I know.
Kelvin? Okay.
No.
Okay. So handling exceptions here is actually for you to easily catch the error. You still remember you also deal with this try catch in programming in Sem 1? Okay, same concept again. Okay, easily to catch what's the error by showing the proper message there. So as a designer programmer, once you see that error, oh, okay, something wrong for this part. I need to do some adjustment. I key in something wrong for this part. Oops, I need to here, but I key in something else. Okay. So catchy exceptions referred to as error trapping. Coding to handle exceptions. Handle the exceptions here. Called error handling. How you handle the error later on. So we as Visual Studio.net, error handling in Visual Studio.net is standardized for all languages using the common language runtime. CLR is common, is standardized as what you have done in C++ previously, standardized as well. Okay. So enclosed statement that might cause an error. Reading try-catch blocks. Try-catch. You're still familiar with this try-catch blocks? In programming, you have this, but in your assignment, seems like you didn't use this try-catch. But we have this in one of the chapters. Only if you still can remember what we have gone through then. Okay, so if an exception occurs, while statement in the try blocks are executing, program control is transferred to the catch block. So if a finally statement is included, the code in that section executes last, always last. Whether or not an exception occur, it will execute last when you have a finally statements included later on. So something like this. When you try a certain statement that might cause error by the user, you catch it by showing the statement for actions when exceptions occur. Maybe you can show some error message there. Then finally, if you have some statement that you want to execute, it will execute before you come up with this try catch. Okay, so the concept is there, the syntax is there. So for example, here, if you want to try to get to parse the text for this quantity, convert it to integer. Okay, then later for this quantity, you want to convert it to string. If this having errors later on, it will catch it by showing you error in input data. Okay, so once you get this error message, then you know already something wrong with this part. Something wrong with my key in the into this text box maybe. Okay, so narrow down the areas that you need to double check error later on. For the later on or for the key in later on. Okay, that's the purpose of this try catch. So this case statement is bad input data that cannot be converted to numeric. So like the case just now, you are actually asking for the text quantity dot text. Later on convert to integer. But maybe the text that you get from here is a string. It's a sentence. How I can convert a sentence to integer? So it will show you this error later on. Okay. Later when you run again, make sure here you put in as integer or you can further improve this statement to please key in an integer value into this text box, something like that, to further improve, to give further guideline to the user to come up with the correct input. Okay, if something wrong, it cannot proceed. Once you cannot proceed, sometimes if you don't put this try catch block, you cannot proceed already, but you don't know what error is there. So at least now, when you have a try catch block, you can see that error in input data in this case. So I will be careful when I do the input or when I do the user key in later on. I need to be more careful. So this directly narrow down the effort for you to find out the main error. What's wrong with that? Maybe nothing wrong with that, but it's only the key in is wrong. Then you can catch this kind of error easily already. Okay. So common exceptions classes. Each exception in an instance of exceptions class. The properties of this class allow you to determine the code locations of the error, the type of the error, and cause. So based on this, try what's the segments that may cause the error. Catch. You can have multiple catch. Whether this catch is actually the format problems, user key in non-numeric data, something like that, or this catch is actually calculations problem or any other problems. Okay, so you can have multiple exceptions. Even narrow down what's the error, what kind of problems happen now. Or if catching here, oh, I know I'm not keying the numeric data. If it show you this error message later on, if you put the error message here, then I know my calculations, maybe I divide it to 0 or something else. I know I've done the wrong calculation. So this even narrow down the way that you find what's wrong with your code or what's wrong with your input. Okay. So multiple exceptions can be done as well. So this part, message box object, is an overloaded method. So this is the error message or whatsoever message that you want to show to the user by pop-up message box for the user. Okay, to get them. Okay, you have entered an invalid amount, something like this. Okay, then at least I know as a user, I know I've entered the wrong amount now. Invalid amount. Maybe you set a range to 1,000 to 5,000, but you key in 8,000. So you have entered an invalid amount. But at least you show to the user they have some wrong input already. What's wrong? Invalid amount. So they try, if you want to make more details, you can show in more details, you must enter from 1,000 to 5,000, something like that. Please try again. So signature correspond to the argument list. There are multiple signatures to choose from. And do not reverse, transpose, or leave out any arguments. Again, IntelliSense display argument list. Once you start to play around with this message box, IntelliSense, in this case, it will actually give you this format, what you want to put in here. Okay, ready by default, but it's only that what you want to put under all this part. Text message, what message you want to put. You have to follow this syntax, consider. We call it as signatures. Okay. So the message box object here, the text message string, that's a string or variables that display the message. Yeah. This one. It tells you what is this, what is about this, title bar text, message box button, message box icon. Okay, so you can have different type of it. Okay. But for the title bar text, definitely you show some proper title for that particular message box, so the user know what happened there. Message box button, you can have just OK. Or you want to have OK cancel. Try cancel, yes, no, cancel, or what, try ignore. So it will show you different buttons if you choose different message box button to be inserted into this part. Okay, so like this case, you only choose OK. You can have OK, cancel. OK one button, cancel another button. Message box icon, you can have different icon based on, again, what's the purpose of it. So this type of icon or this type of icon, you can set it based on what you want under this part on the different choices that you have here based on the scenarios that you want to come up with now. Okay, is it an info only, or is it just warning or questions? So it will show you different icon here. Okay, so the text message, title bar text, message box button, okay, and also the icon. Okay, so all this later on, you can play around with the demo in chapter 3. I believe there is one with the message box. Try to play around with it. A lot of like calculations as well. Okay, so you check through not only play around with it, but check through the code as well. How they declare a certain variable inside it. Okay, how they convert a text, a string, to integer something. Okay, all this inside this demo later on. Please play around with it. Okay, using overloaded methods. This OOP features a lot. OOP is object-oriented programming. Allows the show method to act differently for different arguments. So each argument lists if called signatures. So the show method here has several signatures. Okay, supply arguments must exactly match one of the signatures provided by the method. You can just use the ready one. You can just adjust it based on what's the options that you have. Okay, options that you have. Again, IntelliSense in Visual Studio Editor helps when entering arguments so that they don't need to be memorized. You don't need to memorize it. You only need to know what is this about, what is this about, what is this about, what is this about. You have the choices given in IntelliSense once you type message box. Okay. So testing multiple fields here. Each input field presents an opportunity for an exceptions. So to make your forms more user-friendly, it will be good you always use try catch. Otherwise, a user blur, don't know what happened. How come I key in something but nothing come up? It's not running. Not mention any error also. Then it give me funny answer. So all this can be avoided. Okay, pinpoint the specific errors, and after error set, focus back to the fields in errors. So this one is only to tell you how you set the focus, how you can adjust it in standard way. Normally when errors happen, you can also ask them to reset or whatsoever. See whether you want to give chance to the user to redo or not. So use select all method of text box to make text appear selected to guide the user, to help the user. Okay, for the counting and accumulating sum, you can declare the module level variables. Since local level variables reset to 0 each time the procedure is called. So again, up to the questions requirement. Okay, so summing the numbers in this case, you can use this assignment operator, counting. Okay, calculate the average. So this one just a normal calculations. Or get the total, get the divisions of it. Okay, because normally if you come up with a form or programmer with multiple form or even just a one form, you sometimes when you ask for the user key in some values there, you must do something. Okay, sure you must have some. Sure you must have some process there. Okay, calculations there. Then end up you show some output, display some outputs to the user. Okay, so questions. This is what I've learned from this chapter quite a lot, but mostly the concept you have gone through in your first programming language in the first semester. Okay, it's only that you still need some time to go and catch up, to go and revise back what you have gone through previously. Okay, the concept is the same thing. It's only now you have to apply it to VB.NET. Okay, to make it more user friendly. At the end, our main purpose is still user friendliness. Okay, you create it for user, it's not created for your own use. For user. So, any questions?
For assignment, we use one.
Why?
We one project only.
In assignment, you use what?
One project only.
One project with multiple forms inside.
Oh, so the module means what? Is it the form?
Modules, you can also have a module. It's like a functions. Okay. But when you add new item, you are actually adding the module. It's not adding the form. So inside the same project as well, you can do that as well. Okay. More and more lah. We're going to learn more and more. No worries. You need to deal with that also.
Oh.
Yeah. So when you to add the new project, new item module. Yeah, do you have your VB.NET open now on your own machine? You can just right click. No.
Add module.
You can just open up any. You can open up the demo file for chapter 3. It's on. You play around with it, but now you open up first. Okay. The project there, you right click, add. You can actually add a module. Normally, you add new item, or you add the forms. Is it? When it is multiple forms project, you should always add form. Okay. But sometimes you only want to have the module later on from any form you want to access that particular module. You can do that as well. So you can add the module instead of add forms in that case. Okay, but slowly you try to play around with your demo for chapter 3 first. Okay. Yeah. Go into the coding as well. It's not only to the what we call that, the interface. Check the coding. Okay. Different type of calculations. What's the coding that you need to put? Okay. Make sure every chapter, if there is any demo file, you all really need to go and check out all these demo file. It's actually giving you bonus to apply it to your assignment later on. Okay. So, at this moment, any questions?
No.
No. Okay. So please go through with it again. Do your studies again. I know it's not like just right after the lecture, you can know everything about it. You have to play around with it, try all this type of coding. Then you may get more like you may get more info, more knowledge already. So again for this demo file, you can also see what's the difference when you declare it as private and div, Kelvin. When you declare it as private and div, what's the difference here? Okay, so you go through the coding there, you can see you will get some info there. Kelvin?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So if you have no questions at this moment, then I will see you all on Thursday. But how about your practical too?
Okay.
You're done with your
Okay.
practical too? Done already, ah? Alfero done already, huh? Is it?
Yeah.
Hello? Oh, okay. Then we can start with the practical 3. But before we start with our practical 3, maybe I need 1 or 2 of you to show again, huh? Just 1 or 2 questions so that you are doing the right thing, lah. Otherwise, whether you are doing the right thing or not, I'm not sure. So make sure, like first practical. Luckily, you show me. Otherwise, you are still using the net. Oh, yeah. And if you have time, you want to try it out the practical first, it's okay as well. You can go ahead, no problem. But the practical class, we will do it. We will use it for the practical exercises later on. Okay, so I will see you on Thursday. Then Thursday, Friday is Chinese New Year Eve. Okay, so see you.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Miss.
Bye
Thank you.
bye. Thank you. Bye.